River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Niner Nuts. I'm Dan here along with James and Eric. We got the whole crew here the whole week of episodes. Guys, how's it going? How are we doing?
I'm good. I don't know how Eric is because I think he's a little embarrassed now.
We'll talk about that here in just a minute.
Yes, guys. We have decided to dedicate our second episode of the week to something that we're going to go ahead and just be boisterous and take credit for, that Deebo Samuel. We're going to talk about whether he's put himself into, say, consideration for Offensive Player of the Year. I personally kind of think he's just making a case for at least December's NFC Player of the Year, but no, we wanted to spend this half hour just shouting out Deebo. It started out in a really interesting place, though, how he came to this. I mean, James, you would do a great job recapping how we got to this specific episode, like why we wanted to dedicate a half hour to Deebo.
Well, so if you have paid attention to the show, you know, but if you haven't, right now we're building a theory that Deebo Samuel listens to the show because three to 4 weeks ago, a certain 49ers fan who came on this show and questioned how good Deebo was. Like, was he really a good receiver due to his stats? And honestly, he had a legitimate point based on his stats. But the reason why we think that Deebo listens to the show, actually, I really know that he listens to the show. If you look at the proof since that declaration was made, Deebo Samuel has 30 touches for 484 all-purpose yards. That's kick returns, that's rushing, that's receiving. That's 16.1 yards per touch and 6 touchdowns. So, yeah, I think the comment that was made on this show by a certain 49ers fan has motivated Deebo to a point where he's now coming alive. I think offensive player of the year might be a stretch. I thought about it, but looking at his overall season stats, it would be hard to make that argument at this point. I mean, if he goes on to go off the next 4 games, I mean, maybe he could come into that conversation. But still, though, I mean, 484 all-purpose yards in 3 games, 6 touchdowns in 3 games, 30 touches in 3 games. I mean, basically, he said, F you, so-and-so. I am a good wide receiver. I deserve to be in the top receiver conversation. And Kyle, give me the damn football.
He's on pace. He's on pace now. If he keeps what he has been doing since the Tampa Bay game, because the Tampa Bay game was the first time, not the first time, that's a little overblown. But no, since the Tampa game, I'll put it that way, like James was saying, he's just been on a tear. 4 of the last 5 games, he's scored a touchdown. He's at 739 receiving yards right now. He's on pace to hit 1,000 strictly receiving yards. So then all the rushing yards would just be a nice little all-purpose bonus. And, how awesome would that be for the first time in, I don't even know how long, for us to have 2,000-yard receivers on a team that also is carried by Christian McCaffrey?
I mean, just the fact that, he has 30 touches and, he's averaging 16 yards per touch. Like,
he's missed 2 games too, by the way.
Well, I'm just talking about since the comment was made. Like, let's just talk about since the comment was made.
Right.
Like, 30 touches. He's touched the ball 30 times and average 30 times. He's averaging 16.1 yards per touch. Like, that's insane. Like, who does that? And obviously I think Eric should dig, some more players maybe we could get some more production. Maybe get a pick six or something from somebody. Just keep motivating them and just basically it's since Eric came on this show and questioned how good a receiver Deebo Samuel was, he's just lit the world on fire.
How has that looked for you, seeing Deebo just, I don't know, call it the whole offense reaching their potential, because Kittle's still making splash plays. Brandon is still over 1,000 already. He's probably going to end up with like 1,400 receiving yards all said and done. But now Deebo has finally like come to life, so to say. Like, how does the shoe taste good, or?
The shoe does taste good. I'm glad to see that I am a leader of men from afar. I mean, I'm proud of my abilities to be able to motivate Deebo into achieving a level of success that he hadn't achieved earlier this season. He was resting on his laurels a little bit caught up in the hype of being Deebo. And it took, me to get to him and to talk to him a little man-to-man, mano-a-mano. And I'm glad that I was able to inspire him the way that I was. No, I mean, in all seriousness, it's been really great to see him kind of come back to life and be that Deebo that, revitalized and turned into what he did in the 2019 season. I mean, it's fantastic for the team. It's fantastic for him. It makes the 49ers that much scarier to face on the field when he can do all the things that he's doing. It gives them a completely another weapon to utilize out there, and seeing them use Ayuk and Kittle and Deebo and McCaffrey all in unison over the last couple of games has been great, because we're just making big plays after big plays after big plays, and we're hitting teams with, we're hitting teams with Deebo, we're hitting them with Kittle, we're hitting them with Ayuk. I mean, they can't figure out where we're coming from or what we're doing next. And so it's been fantastic to see. I think, James, you made an interesting point, or Dan, I don't remember which one of you guys was talking about it. Deebo could get to 1,000 yards this season. Kittle could get to 1,000 yards this season. So we could legitimately have 3 guys on the team with 1,000-yard receiving season, which that's unbelievable to think of. Is my time up? I heard the bell. My time's up.
No, that was
trying to get the Kittle
going off.
I'm trying to get the Kittle to where he's Kittle is at 800. Definitely was not paying attention that he's at 800 receiving yards amazingly. I thought he was still like in the 600s for some reason.
No.
Okay, so that's not an invalid statement. We could, if the splash plays keep coming to everybody, we could have 3,000-yard receivers. Holy crap.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Has that even happened? I know we've had 2 on
Arizona when they got to the Super Bowl. It was Anquan Bolden and Larry Fitzgerald, and then I can't remember who their third receiver was.
Was it Ricky Prohl?
I can't say. Whatever Cardinals team made the Super Bowl in 05. Or no.
It was 08.
Yeah, the 08. That 08 team had 3,000-yard receivers. I think that might have been the last time there was 3,000-yard receivers on a team. Maybe. I might be wrong.
Might have been even the only time, because I don't even... Well, I mean...
The Greatest Show on Turf didn't have 3?
I mean, I don't know if it happened all in the same year. I know Falk had a 1,000 season, but I don't know if that was in the same year that Holt and Bruce had 1,000 yards as well. So
I'll look into it while you guys are talking.
Yeah,
we're just kind of.
But it'd be insane. I mean, even Brandon Ayuk over the stretch that we're just talking since Eric made that comment. 13 receptions, 222 yards, 17.1 yards per catch, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, just not just Deebo, like Eric said, but everybody's humming on this offense, and as long as they don't turn the ball over, I mean, they're pretty unstoppable. I agree. Like, nothing. The only team that can beat them is them, and Eric said that, and it definitely looks that way. And so
I want to stand up for us defending him a little bit too, because every time, this is why Deebo makes the money. Like, this is why he earned that contract, and I was very happy we were able to keep him. Like, it's going to be really interesting next year because if Brandon gets they used the 5th-year option. They used the 5th-year option as like the line, like because they're obviously whoever's going to sign him is not going to pay him the 5th-year money necessarily. They'll probably void that, give him the extension, but no, the two of them combined are going to be worth like 30 million of our cap space next year, if not like closer to 40. Like, so no, that's what's going to be tricky to keep both of them. But especially during this little stretch, this little renaissance that he's having post slanderous comments, like, no, this is exactly why he was worth every one of those pennies.
Yeah, he's been a real game changer and a real difference maker these last few games, and that's and to your point, Dan. That's exactly why we paid him a bunch of money, was to be that game changer and to be that difference maker. And my critique of him earlier on, when I first jumped on the show as a full-time member, was just simply that he wasn't doing what he's doing now. Right. I mean, if you just look at it objectively, earlier in the season, I think he had one game where he played well, but other than that, he was just kind of there. Like, he was just like, oh, it's Deebo. Okay, well, whatever. Like, he caught like 2 balls for 40 yards. I mean, like, he didn't do anything in the game. And it's really has just been like it's really just been these last 3 or 4 games where he's come back and been the Deebo that we've all wanted to see and that we've all wanted to be out there on the field for us, and that really makes the 49ers a better team. And I'm thrilled to see it. So, I mean, thanks, Deebo, for listening to the pod. Thanks for being out there and doing the things that you do, man. I'm proud of you. Good job, buddy.
I mean, it was fair criticism. It was fair criticism. It wasn't like, you were just hating on Deebo for whatever reason. I mean, his numbers since he got the contract weren't very good. And, I think you brought up that he was, paid as a top 10 wide receiver, but last year and, up until maybe the last 3 games, he really wasn't earning his keep or living up to that contract. So yeah, it was fair criticism, but Deebo said, okay, well, maybe I gotta do something. So I'm gonna go ask for the ball, and I'm gonna go play my, earmuffs. I'm gonna go play my ass off and show Eric that he's a freaking lunatic. So
it's interesting looking at it month to month, because September, he was fine in September, 55, 63, 129. And then laid an egg against the Cardinals. This is October. The month of October is where it really hit the fan. Laid an egg in Arizona, 3 for 55. It's okay against Dallas. Laid an egg against Cleveland. And then we find out that he broke his shoulder in Cleveland. And so he's out until the game that we went to in Jacksonville. Quiet again, 4 for 30. But then, once we started calling him out after not seeing good production out of him for a month and a half, shoulder looks perfectly fine to me.
Yeah. I mean, he had 332 yards receiving and 1 touchdown until a month ago. I mean, that just statistically speaking, just not very good. And I mean, now we're talking about he's going to be very likely, if he keeps going at the pace that he's going, 1,000-yard receiver by the end of this season. He'll probably have 6-7 touchdowns, plus he's got 5 rushing touchdowns, so he's going to have a dozen touchdowns to his name. I mean,
I'm pretty sure they hit the rushing incentive in his contract now, because I think it was touchdown or yards, whatever you hit first.
Yeah. And if he keeps going in the month of December, I mean, he'll probably be the offensive player of the month, for the NFC. Just if he keeps you're talking about 2 more games he has yet to play. And in those 2 games, if he keeps up to this pace, so I mean, he'll seriously have 10 touchdowns in 4 games or something like that.
Yeah, especially if he shows out on Christmas against the Ravens. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like if he goes in and they go out and beat the Ravens and he scores another 2 touchdowns, has another, over 100 yards of all-purpose yards, in that game on primetime TV. I mean, he's just been showing up in these big, games where like people are watching. They're the game of the week. They're, and all of that. If he keeps showing up, like, it's going to be hard to keep that offensive player of the month away from him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. And I mean, Yeah, just him being at this level that he's at again. Like I said, it just brings a whole nother dimension to the offense. I mean, like you have to really account for him again as a real legitimate weapon and a real legitimate threat offensively that we just didn't have to. If you were playing defense against him, you didn't really have to necessarily count against him like that before, and you do now because he's getting balls and he's taking them to the house. Almost every touch now, and it's crazy because he's not getting. In the game against Philly, he had 4 touches and 2 touchdowns. That's ridiculous. Receiving wise, that's pretty ridiculous. That's good average for your money there.
If we want to entertain the offensive player of the year, I do the thing I sent in our group chat. I have now as an overlay. If you would like to have me pull that up so we can discuss. No, it's not very likely, but it's just a fun little thought exercise for us. I have it right here if we want to look at it.
Yeah, sure. Pull it up.
There we go. I'll put it over my face.
Oh, that's super tiny for me. I'm going to pull it up otherwise.
Plus 10,000 last time I saw.
Hold on. Is there a way for me to blow it up? I had this problem.
I see it right there. So, let me get up
if
here.
You, Eric, depending on what.
If you see my finger, it's right next to it. So
depending on what you guys are on, you can blow up the screen if that helps. If not, I can try to figure out a way to blow it up.
Well,
I get it. It's fine.
It's plus 10,000 right now for Deebo Samuel to win Offensive Player of the Year. He's had a good. He
won't beat
weeks, but he's really behind. Hill is
the slump that he went through in October is why he's not going to win it. Let's be real.
Yeah, unless he really goes off for another 1,000 yards over the next couple of games, all-purpose yards or something like that. He'd really have to really go off, even score maybe a return touchdown or 2.
He'll be our return man probably the rest of the year since Ray got put on IR.
Yeah,
I don't like that personally. I don't want him returning kicks.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
I agree.
Yeah, and
let's have maybe in a desperate situation, oh shit, we're down a touchdown in the 4th quarter. Okay, fine, now put Deebo back there. But otherwise, I don't want him returning kicks. He doesn't need those extra hits.
Yeah, or just have him do punts, not actual kickoffs. Let Ronnie Bell do the actual kickoffs, and then let Deebo do the punts.
I don't want him doing either of those.
I wouldn't want him doing either. But if I had to choose, I would rather have him on the kick return than on a punt return. Basically, because
you get murdered on punts.
Well, yeah, and by
you
the
can
time
get lit up on kicks too.
By the time the kicking team gets to Deebo, he's full head of steam running at people. That's the only thing. I believe that if you're going to put him anywhere, kick returns is where you want him because he catches it, 9 yards deep in the end zone. And he's running full steam at the special team player guys. And he's hard to tackle when he's running full speed like that. But like Eric said, you just don't want him to take so many hits. And the only other thing I have to say about it is, really, is it worth him coming out of the end zone every single time when you literally only get 2 net yards every single time he comes out of the end zone? That's where I would say it's definitely not worth putting him through the hits that he's getting compared to the net yardage that you're actually getting on the kickoff.
Yeah, I don't want him getting hurt. I don't. We're praising Deebo on the show, so I don't want to turn it into a negative thing. But Deebo gets hurt a lot, right? So I want to minimize the chances of him getting hurt as little as possible. So I don't want him returning kicks and punts unless it's absolutely necessary.
Well, no, Deebo gets. This was the first time that I can remember Deebo. Please feel free to correct me, but I remember the last 2 years that Deebo just got banged up a lot. This is the first time that he actually sat out an extended period of time.
No, he missed time. He missed time last year and the year before.
Then I'm just not remembering it right because we've all three seen him take quite a beating. It takes a lot for him to actually miss time. So no, when he misses time, he's legitimately hurt. But at the same time, he can take quite a hell of a beating.
Yeah, he missed 4 games in 2022. He missed 1 game in 21. Yeah, he missed 1 game in 21. He missed a bajillion games in 20 with everybody else.
Dude, We could do a half-hour episode strictly on mourning 2020. That was a terrible year.
Yeah. So I want to know, how is Derrick Henry plus 7,500 to win Offensive Player of the Year? What has Derrick Henry done? Nothing. Absolutely nothing this season.
It's not whatever he's doing is not contributing to wins. We obviously know that.
No, I mean, like, how do you get to be plus 7,500? How is he better than Mostert or Mahomes or Dak or Stroud or Jackson or like almost anybody else on this list? Like, I don't understand that at all.
I don't know. I mean, maybe people are betting it more. So, but you're right. Derrick Henry at plus 7,500 for Offensive Player of the Year is ridiculous.
He's only he's at 841 rushing with 8 touchdowns and 185 receiving, no touchdowns.
He's got 8 touchdowns?
8 rushing touchdowns, yeah.
I didn't think he had that many. All right.
Well, that's all the touchdowns they have on the season. So that's why.
Yeah, this is the part of the podcast where we just crap on everybody else's team.
I agree. He's not doing anything particularly splashy to like. Why is he above Raheem Mostert? Raheem Mostert has literally like 15 rushing touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes is Patrick Mahomes. Like Dak Prescott. I mean, yes, I'm all for crapping on Dak Prescott, but just staying true to the stats that I praised to death for Purdy. When you look at stats, Dak is honestly not that bad a quarterback. Like at least this year.
Yeah, I mean, but the only thing about Dak is, the only good team he seems to show up against is, the Eagles when they play in Dallas. That's it. That's the only time he shows up for a big game. Like the rest of the big games, he folds. So he can't.
Kirk Cousins of Texas. Like
yeah, and so it's hard. It's hard for people to get on the Dak train, especially with something like that. Like I personally, it's really nothing against Dak because you look at the history, the big games, the only ones he can win are when the Eagles play in Dallas, and that's about it. So
well, he can beat the crap out of bad teams too. Like it's that thing that you don't just want to beat a bad team, you want to pummel and manhandle a bad team, and when he goes against them, he usually manhandles bad teams.
Yeah.
But obviously, too, like what Eric is saying, Derrick Henry at plus 7,500 and Brock Purdy at plus 15,000, like that makes no freaking sense. Like Brock Purdy,
Derrick Henry scored 4 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks, so he was at 4 touchdowns coming into the last 2 weeks.
I would put everybody on this list above Derrick Henry except Travis Etienne. Like, I'm serious. Everybody on this list. That includes Amon-Ra St. Brown. That includes
Puka Nacua. Yeah, I would put him up. Yeah.
Oh, Puka's having an incredible season.
Yeah, like Derrick Henry is the best player on a bad team, and it can't translate the wins. You're telling me you're going to give Offensive Player of the Year to a guy whose team finishes below 500? Like that'd be ridiculous.
You can be your team's MVP. He probably more than deserves the Titans MVP.
Well, yeah, but that's also not saying much. Look at that roster.
You're not wrong. I mean, no disrespect to Will Levis. I mean, he's showing promise.
Yeah, I mean,
is he?
Is he? Like, really?
I don't think he is.
They wasted.
Hey, he's not that bad. He's fine.
Well, I mean, if they're going to do
throwing the 32-year-old DeAndre Hopkins, like
who catches literally everything.
Your number one receiver is as old as I am. I mean, that's not good when your number one receiver is bordering on geriatric. Like. By sports standards,
we have lost any Titans fans that we had.
Yes, I mean the thing about the Titans.
Remember when Anquan Bolden was our number one receiver at 35? Yeah, that's not good.
He was good. I think he had 1,000-yard season
because he was the only guy we could throw to. Our number one tight end was Vance McDonald.
Maybe.
I mean, Derrick Henry is the perfect example of why you don't invest money into running backs, because it's not a winning formula. It's just not. Having your running back being the primary part of your offense does not win championships, and they've been lacking the quarterback there. And who knows if Will Levis is even anything, or Malik Willis is even anything, or if there's anybody there that can develop them.
Here, we'll tie this back into Deebo. You don't invest strictly into a running back. You invest into a hybrid wide back.
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah,
wide back.
A wide back. Yeah,
Anquan Bolden was 34 when he caught 1,000 yards for the 49ers.
There is no reason a 34-year-old should be your number one receiver. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he was a bad player. I'm saying that's a bad situation to be in, to be the number one receiver at 34. That is not good.
I mean, I think Deebo, if he were to he has a lot of ground to catch up for Offensive Player of the Year. Definitely, I don't think it's happening. Even at the odds, I wouldn't bet it.
I was gonna say, do we still want this list up? I was gonna take it down.
No, you can show your face again.
But yeah, even at those odds, they're quite the long shot odds that, if we go into next season and we think Deebo's going to build off of it, and there's enough, it'll probably be somewhere, for Deebo, probably in the plus 5,500 range or something like that for Offensive Player of the Year. Start at the start of the season, you bet on it. Not now. Definitely not worth taking any type of shot on it.
I'm not taking a bet. I'm not taking a futures bet on Deebo again after that one I catastrophically failed with.
Yeah. Well, let me just say, I want to apologize personally to Deebo for crapping on you earlier, even though I was technically right. You were playing poorly, but you have revitalized yourself and rejuvenated your season, and I thank you tremendously for it, Deebo. We love you on the show. We think that you're fantastic, and please go buy one of the Niner Nut shirts that we're about to show.
Yes, donate to a good charity, Deebo.
Yes, not before, though. We'll show the shirt here in a second. Good segue into our sponsor first. Feel free to get a jersey from here too, Deebo. RoyalRetros.com. What is RoyalRetros.com? It is your go-to place for an authentic throwback jersey. They cover all the sports, by the way, not just football. Yes, we're a football podcast, but they got baseball, basketball, hockey. They cover all the major sports, and don't quote me on soccer. I didn't actually verify soccer, but anyway, beside the point, for us American football fans, there is a candlestick collection going that is up right now in their online store. It's got a lot of cool 49ers themed gear and some pretty cool San Francisco Giants gear too, if you're doubling down and into them as well. But so when you find something that you like, go put it in your cart and use the promo code Shady Sports to get 10% off your entire order. Again, it's your entire order. If you use the promo code Shady Sports, you get 10% off of it. It helps the show. It helps the network. It helps everybody. You get a cool jersey. We get a little support. And these guys have been awesome all year. Again, it's RoyalRetros.com. Promo code Shady Sports. Go get yourself a Royal Retro jersey today. You're muted, sir.
Just to reiterate on how good these jerseys are, Jalen Hurts bought a jersey from Royal Retros and wore it to one of the games. So
I will find that image to save as an overlay. Thank you. I will remember to do that.
Even the pros wear Royal Retros. So, and with that being said, guys, we're gonna move on to a little fundraising that we're doing. Most recently in the news, the Houston Texans minority owner was charged with very serious sexual crimes in the state of Kentucky. And also the 49ers own Jed York was named in a lawsuit for insider trading, allegedly. Both these owners were in the news in the summer, we'll say. But the NFL knew about it, for months to years in those cases. And the reason why we bring this up is because recently in the news, if you follow the NFL, you'll know that Von Miller he had to turn himself in because of domestic violence charges against him towards his pregnant girlfriend. And the reason why this is a problem is because, like I said, the NFL knew for quite some time in the other two cases with Von Miller, we knew before the warrant was even served. And that's a problem. When player standards are less than owner standards, and the NFL has said that owner standards are supposed to be higher than player standards. So we are starting to make the hashtag owner standards are less than player standards, hashtag owner accountability. We'll probably be doing this podcast forever and selling these t-shirts forever unless somehow the owners just magically just start reporting on themselves. But just to show you we put our money where our mouth is, we are selling t-shirts for charity. We are selling t-shirts with our statement, and all the proceeds go to a Kentucky Crisis Center. Our first t-shirt is our statement that we're making owner standards are less than player standards, hashtag owner accountability. There's different colors. T-shirts start at $22.99. You can get it in different styles and different sizes. Our next t-shirt is the owner standoff t-shirt. This is a charity-only t-shirt. We've brought this on since the Dan Snyder campaign. Basically, the owner's in a standoff. It's a cool t-shirt. We want you to have a cool t-shirt when you donate to charity. $22.99 gets you that in a premium t-shirt, or we have different styles at different prices with different sizes. Next up, we have our podcast logo art. You'll find this on our YouTube channel, Spotify channel, Apple Podcast channel. You'll find this in our little profile pic. You can get it on the t-shirt. $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt, or pay a little more for some different styles. Next, we have our alternate Niner Nuts logo art. This one I have, very good quality, different colors. $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt. We have different styles and different sizes as that. And last but not least, Deebo, we have our little Niner Nuts mascot. How can you say no to a peanut eating peanuts while rooting for his San Francisco 49ers on the couch? $22.99 gets you that in a t-shirt. Donate to a Kentucky Crisis Center today by going to bonfire.com, Niner Nuts Apparel. If you Google it, it'll take you right to it. All the proceeds go to charity.
Yeah, the store's in the show notes here as well, regardless where you're watching or listening to us on. And yeah, we just want you to have a cool t-shirt while helping out a family. We don't want a dime for these shirts. So yeah, all those designs are there. I usually close out the show with some news. I didn't have the proper credit for this, but I'm shouting it out all week. I'm not changing it up. I implore you to go to golongtd.com and look up The McDermott Problem, written by Tyler Dunn. I highly, highly encourage you all to read this. It is a long read. It is a 3-parter. Full disclosure, I haven't read all of it per se, because I don't know. It's hard for me to read that much. But anyway, the good stuff, that's why I'm bringing this up. Sean McDermott's motivational speaking skills come into light, and that alone is worth the read. It's amazing. I was crying laughing. I feel bad for Bills fans because this year's already gone so awry, and then this came out at the same time. But I say that in the same breath that I say, please go to golongtd.com and read The McDermott Problem. It's awesome. It's it's probably my favorite story that's off the field related that we've had all year so far.
Yeah. I mean, could have picked a bunch of other examples, but had to pick that.
God, it's just, you know who communicated well.
It's
amazing.
I
won't repeat it here. I just for what it is, but please go read it. It's so funny. It's so insightful. Again, I can't wait to finish reading it. I haven't read all 3 parts, but yeah, it's the same Tyler Dunn that did the McCarthy write-up last year that came out about how McCarthy was getting massages and how much Aaron Rodgers didn't trust him his last years in Green Bay. So this guy's a great writer. But yeah, The McDermott Problem on golongtd.com.
Yeah. And Eric, do you have anything else you'd like to say before we sign off?
No, just Deebo. Let's do it another week, man. Let's keep the train rolling. Let's get you to 1,000 yards, my homie. Let's go.
All right, guys. I have nothing left. Just once again, stay tuned for our story on Jake Moody and win the last Shane kick that he's ever made. With that being said, outro music, River Road, Justin Muth.
Yep, we will catch you all on Friday, and we play the Cardinals at 4 o'clock on Sunday. So beat the Cardinals.
River Road, you got me running way back home. River Road, you got me running all night long. You got me singing some canal boat song. River Road, you got me running all night long. River Road, where have all the women gone? Have they kissed her hand and waved you bye-bye? Have they thought about crossing your double yellow lines? River Road, they love the way